Hard sports all plays. Yeah. Hard sports all plays. Hard sports all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. Hard sport all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. Hard sports all plays.
All right, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to Easy Money, a sports betting show, Monday, October 16th, 2023. I'm Chris Gonzalez, joined by Tony Gonzalez. How's it going?
Oh, going pretty good.
All right, had a pretty good weekend in sports. Some good college football, good NFL, Major League Baseball playoffs kicked back off yesterday.
Yeah.
Today we get a couple games. Game one of the National League and then game two of the American League series.
Kind of a crazy weekend in NFL and kind of crazy a little bit in college football too. What do you think of the college football? What'd you think about Colorado blowing that game after being up 39-0?
Yeah, that was crazy.
That'd have to be one of the biggest comebacks of all time, I would think. Had to be right up here.
It has to be close. I'm not exactly sure. If I remember correctly, it's the biggest lead that Colorado had ever blown. But yeah, I mean, the way that game was going, I thought that game was over.
I did too. I quit. I'll be straight up honest. I checked on it. It was 39-0. I said, I'm going to bed. So, right now, in your opinion, who's the best college football team, in your opinion?
I've been leaning toward Michigan.
I agree with you.
It's hard to pick against Georgia since they've won the last two national championships till somebody does beat them, but they haven't looked as – they're still a real good team. I don't think they've looked as good as they have the last couple of years.
What four teams do you think?
I think Michigan's looking better than what they did last year before Corm got hurt and head to the playoffs. And of course, they played like shit against TCU and ended up getting put out. I think Ohio State's pretty good too. We've seen Ohio State barely win a game against Notre Dame, which I'm not saying Notre Dame's not a good team. I think Notre Dame's a pretty damn good team. But they killed their chances by blowing that game against Louisville. Even losing to Ohio State, I think they still could have been all right if they'd have won out. They had a chance to be there at the end, but losing to Louisville, I think, hurt them.
Do you think they can get back in it? Well, they've lost 2 losses, so it's kind of hard now.
Yeah, lost to Louisville. That I think it's going to come back to bite them. But the only thing is, if some of these other teams can lose a game or two, they could have a chance. Ohio State has Michigan. If Ohio State could lose to Michigan, and if they lose, I don't know who. Ohio State has Penn State this weekend. I think that's going to be a good game.
I think Penn State's a pretty good team.
Yeah, Penn State's a good team. I like Penn State. I think they're good.
What do you think about Florida State?
They're pretty good. I don't know if their defense is going to hold up against against some of the bigger schools. Once you get up against,
What about Oklahoma? The fact that they did beat Texas, which was just a little
Yeah.
bit of a surprise to me.
yeah, but didn't they? Was it them? Maybe it wasn't. No, that was Georgia's. Georgia guy got hurt. No, I like Oklahoma. That defense is a hell of a lot better than they were last year, and their offense has been playing pretty good. Yeah, because Texas look like a team that can make a run.
Well, I
and
think
then-
we're both. I'm confident that Georgia and either Michigan or Ohio State, one of them two, are going to make it. Maybe both. I mean, there's been a lot of years they have. So, but then who's that other team? Is it going to be Florida State, Oregon? I mean, excuse me, not Oregon, Oklahoma, Washington, Penn State, Texas. And you got teams like Oregon who's only got one loss. They could get back in the hunt. So, I mean, there's going to be interesting. But right now, I think I personally kind of like Michigan. I'm kind of like you. I'm kind of like Michigan.
Yeah, I like Michigan. I like the way their defense and offense is playing. Ohio State looked good over the weekend as well. It's going to be interesting. I'd like to see Michigan play a little bit tougher teams, see what they look like. Then we haven't really got to see them play that yet. Which I know they have Ohio State here in a few weeks, and then I don't know if they play Penn State this year or not.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
The way the Big Ten works out, so it's going to be interesting. Washington, I like Washington's offense. I just don't know if their defense is going to be able to hold up against. So if their defense is going to be able to slow enough teams down, if their offense can't score 30 points a game,
Yeah,
it's hard to depend on your offense to score 30 something points a game. Oregon had chances to win that game. I thought Oregon would win that game going into it because I thought
too.
Oregon had the better defense.
I did too.
I think these coaches are getting a little carried away on going for it and not taking points. You see it in college football. You see it in the NFL as well. It's like it used to be if you can get points, take them. Now you pass up points, and it comes back to haunt you toward the end of the game. I mean, if they took that field goal, Oregon takes that field goal there before halftime when they're up right at the goal line and end up getting stopped. You take that field goal. I mean, it's a tie game. So I mean, and we saw it come back and bite the Giants last night, which that wasn't because they didn't decide to kick a field goal, because the quarterback decided to audible to a run play with no time left.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense.
I mean, I was sitting there saying, you can't run the ball. They
No.
got to throw it. They got to throw it. Did they ran it? I'm thinking, oh. There was no way you were going to get that ball spiked in time.
If he was going to do an option, if he ran outside, and if he thought he had a corner, he could go ahead and go, or he could have threw it out. I could see that. But why would you run straight up the middle? That didn't make any sense at all. And like you said, a run play is just not a smart move really at all.
I wouldn't have been running the ball at all there.
No.
It's like you can't take a sack. If it's not there, throw the ball out of the back of the end zone. We'll take the 3 points.
What did you think about the
Especially the way the Giants defense played last night, man.
The Giants defense looked really, really good last night. They looked really good. A lot of defenses, kind of a defensive weekend. Some teams, Cleveland stepping up. We knew they had a pretty good defense. Jets defense also.
Other than Indianapolis Colts.
Defense did not play. And their offense struggled too. They struggled on all ends.
I'm going to say this before I go into my little rant. I think Shane Steichen's done a good job with the Colts. I think we got us a good coach, but his offensive game plan yesterday was terrible. We've been running the ball good all season. We've been a run first team all season. If you go look at the stats, we've been more. We throw the ball some, but we've been more of get the run going, then open the pass game. We come out against Jacksonville and ran the ball 5 times in the first half. Okay, I can understand the second half not running as much. You were way down. You're trying to catch up, but there's no reason at all that in that first half of the game, especially your first couple of possessions, that you're just coming out trying to throw the ball.
Yeah, I agree with it. It didn't make a lot of sense.
I mean, Zach Moss has been running the hell out of the ball. And now you have Taylor back as well, and it was like well, we're not going to use either one of them today.
And
I mean, they both caught some passes out of the backfield, but and even our passing game was all 2-3 yard
Yeah.
little short passes. We never tried to get Jacksonville out of that zone.
Nope.
If you run the ball, try to get them to come up out of that zone, or if you're not going to run the ball, you got to try to go down the field a little bit. Or, I mean, hell, you're throwing a little 2-yard pass, and there's 8 guys there to converge on you. It's just I didn't like the offensive game plan at all yesterday, and that's like I said, one of the few times since Steichen has been with Indianapolis that I've said that, because I think he's done a good job. I like the team plays hard, they compete, but yesterday, I don't know what the problem was, but I didn't like our offensive game plan at all.
yeah, I don't disagree with you. And it seemed like every time we would get going, then they would throw an interception. He was high on his throws. A lot of times he wasn't open. He was just trying to squeeze something in. And yeah,
Well,
bad game.
but if you look, though, I don't know what it was. It didn't look like Minshew had anything on his throws yesterday. It was like everything. It was like he was floating everything. It like no, because there was a couple times the guys were open, but the ball took so long to get there. By the time it got there, they were covered, and it was an interception because the ball was just hanging in the air. It's like you saw a lot of him backpedaling and throwing off his back leg and not having nothing on the ball. That's what caused one of them. But even there was other times it's like, dude, fire the ball. And I mean, I know Minshew's played well some this season, but he's going to play a hell of a lot better. That especially because, I mean, there's reports coming out Richardson might have surgery, and if he has surgery, then he's done for the season.
Well,
so.
And I happened to catch McAfee's show earlier today, and they was talking about that, and said they've never heard of a guy getting surgery for that type of injury. So wondering if it's worse than what they've said. You don't always get all the information, but I know Adam Schefter and McAfee was talking about that, and they was questioning. He said, you're after 6 weeks, you're going to opt for surgery already. He said that's McAfee. This is McAfee said he thought it sounded a little strange. Of course, again, you don't know all factors.
Yeah. It makes me think that the injury is worse than what they were leading on at first. Is what makes me think.
Yeah.
Because first they were thinking like 4 weeks. Now all of a sudden it comes out yesterday, maybe surgery.
Yeah. So I don't know. Some of the other NFL games. What do you think about the Jets game?
Jets defense is good, man.
Yeah.
And Jets defense is good, and the Eagles are a good team. They're not the same. They're not as the same dominant team they were last year.
No.
I think losing their coordinators have hurt them some, and they're still trying to get in that rhythm like they were last year with their 2 coordinators. But the Jets defense impressed me, and Zach Wilson. I'm not saying he played great, but he played pretty good, and you've seen an improvement in him from the first couple games of the season. Now the last 2 or 3 games, he's played pretty good. Hell, he outplayed Patrick. I'm not saying he's better than Patrick Mahomes, but he outplayed Patrick Mahomes that game when they played the Chiefs, and they ended up barely losing. But then last week he played good. They're 3-3, and I remember at the beginning of the season before Rodgers got hurt, there was people with how tough the Jets schedule was at first. If the Jets can be 4-2 or 3-3 or come out of these first 6 games with a winning record, they have to feel good. Well, they're 3-3 with their backup quarterback after losing the quarterback. So I mean, I think Jets are in a good spot, and you have Aaron Rodgers out there walking around with no crutches, and from what I've heard, you're supposed to be on crutches like 6 to 8 weeks. I think it's been 4 weeks since he's had surgery. And he's out there playing catch. I think Rodgers will go play again this season. I really do, especially if the Jets can stay in it.
Yep.
It's not going to surprise me if he don't play. And the way the Jets have been playing, it makes me think that maybe they were just a a quarterback away from really being a Super Bowl contender. I still think their offensive line has to improve some. But if they figured out that offensive line and you had Rodgers in there, with that defense, they're a scary team because they're going to hold most teams to most of the time right around 20 points or less.
I agree. I watched a lot of that game, and the offensive line at times, people can get on that quarterback all they want. There was times he didn't have a prayer.
Yeah.
At times they did okay. One thing real quick on the Jets defense, they played Buffalo this year, top 5 quarterback. Played Kansas City this year, top 5 quarterback. Philadelphia, people consider them top 5 quarterback. Against those 3 quarterbacks, they've 7 interceptions. And that's not counting the fumble, too. 8 turnovers against those 3 quarterbacks, what that defense has done. And held all 3 of them to maybe a touchdown or 2 at most, and not very many yards throwing. So that defense is fantastic.
I was impressed. I watched most of that game yesterday, and I was impressed. They had Jalen Hurts uncomfortable that whole game. Eagles never could really get a whole lot going on offense. And
why is Buffalo so Jekyll and Hyde right now? They played really good against Miami, and then they've looked not very good since.
I don't know what's going on with Buffalo. I thought some of last week might have been traveling to London, and Jacksonville was already in London for a couple weeks. I thought that was a pretty big advantage. So I thought, okay, maybe that was some of it. But then to come out against a Giants team that has really been struggling. Giants have not looked good all season, and Giants defense played pretty good last night. I think they get away from the run a little too much, because if you saw in the second half when the Bills did score some points and kind of even on that last drive to go down and take the lead, it was a lot of running the ball with Cook. Cook ran a few times, but then they brought in that Latavius Murray, and they gave the ball to him like 5-6 times in a row, and boom, they're down there on the goal line. And the Bills got lucky to win that game. The Giants blew that game. If the Giants get the 3 points there at the end of the half that they should have got, then they could have kicked a field goal there at the end of that game, and game's over. So I mean, and that appeared to be on Tyrod Taylor. It looked, especially the way the coach Dave Ball was reacting, it looked like Taylor audible to a run in a situation where you can't audible to a run there. I mean, there was not enough time. You were not going to get another playoff. So, but
hey, Big Glenn.
I'm not understand. I don't understand why the Bills. Because I mean, it ain't like their defense played terrible. They didn't give up a lot. Defense didn't give up a lot of points, but for some reason, the offense just hasn't been able to get going and scoring points.
I think it seems like to me that, like, I agree with you about the run, not running the ball enough, but also it seems like that quarterback Allen focuses too much on Diggs. And don't get me wrong, Diggs is a great receiver, but I mean, they're double teaming Diggs sometimes. So why ain't they spreading the ball out a little more? I think he gets a little. I mean, I could be wrong, but it just seems that way to me. I think if they would spread I don't know. Their offense does not seem right now on a consistent basis. That's for sure. What'd you think about the San Francisco 49ers and the Cleveland Browns? Another great defensive performance. Really, both teams played good defense.
Yeah. Browns have they've had one of the best defenses all season. I think they're ranked second, maybe first. They're ranked right up there. Their offense is kind of what has been struggling for them. I really thought San Francisco would win that game, especially with Deshaun Watson being out again. You have PJ Walker starting for Cleveland. Nothing against PJ Walker. I've been a fan of PJ Walker's because he used to be at the Colts on the practice squad. Then I watched him in the XFL where he was going to be the MVP that year, and then COVID shut it down. And he got to go to Carolina and play. He done some good things there. Then that had some bad things. I mean, he's not a bad quarterback, but the way 49ers offense have been playing, I really thought they, even against that tough Cleveland defense, I thought the 49ers would win that game. And the 49ers should have won that. I mean, the 49ers had chances to win that game. You missed what? Didn't they miss 2 field goals? I know they at least missed one at the end, but I think that he missed one earlier in the game as well, if I remember correctly.
One thing that I didn't realize, how good Schwartz has been in his career against the 49ers coach. He's always been able to scheme well against them. He schemed a great defense yesterday, and that was a big part of it. And not making excuses, 49ers had injuries. I'm not going to go to the weather because the weather is the same for both teams. But the injuries could come and definitely had to be a factor to a certain degree, but there's still no excuses. Plus they got down there to kick a field goal and to win the game, and the guy missed a 41-yard field goal to win the game. He missed it. So, but a lot of people were slamming on Purdy a little bit. I thought he handled himself well in the press conference. Be interested to see how he comes back. They're not giving much news on the running back, how much he's hurt, but they say that's what he's always been. He don't like to give out much information. The receiver that got hurt, I think they said it's not too bad.
Glenn says it's more testament to how good Browns is versus how the 49ers lost. No, don't get me wrong. Browns defense is real good, but like I said, I know he missed that field goal at the end that would have won the game. I think he missed one earlier in the game, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he did.
But the only thing I don't like about it is realistically, you're not going to win every game. I mean, we've seen one team do it. How many years ago? It's been forever. A long time ago, forever ago. What I don't like about it is now you're going to have all these people get on TV and all these. Well, I told you Brock Purdy ain't no good. It's just because he's in the system. Brock Purdy done his job. Did the offense look like they have? No. But when it came down to crunch time, he got him in field goal range and a chance to win the game.
Yep.
Minus Deebo Samuel, minus Christian McCaffrey. Everybody wondered, well, what's he going to do when he's under pressure and he loses some players and this. He didn't make a turnover that cost him the game late there. Yeah, he threw an interception earlier in the game, but he didn't make a turnover there on that last drive. He made enough plays to get them in field goal range and a chance to win the game. So, and name me one player that hasn't had a game where a bad game. Everybody wants to talk about Patrick Mahomes, the best quarterback in the league. He got outplayed by Zach Wilson a few weeks ago.
Sure is.
And you don't hear people saying, "Oh, he's just a product of Andy Reid's system." Have we ever seen Patrick Mahomes play in another system besides Andy Reid's? No. So what would he do? But just because Brock Purdy wasn't drafted in the first round, he was the last pick of the draft. Nobody wants to give him any credit, and I think that sucks. I think he's a good quarterback, and I think he's going to do good things there in San Francisco. All teams have some games where you don't play your best, you don't look great, and some of that was due to the Browns defense. Browns have a tough defense. I ain't gonna lie, that scares me this weekend. Colts play the Browns this weekend, and if we go out there with the same damn game plan we did against Jacksonville, our offense is gonna get smoked. You can't drop back and throw the ball 55 times against the Browns. No. Colts shouldn't be dropping back throwing the 55 times against anybody. We don't have the wide receivers to be doing that for one, or the quarterback right now to be doing that. And I'm not saying Richardson's that kind of quarterback that we could be doing that with right now either, because he's not. I think eventually he might turn into that guy, but right now Richardson isn't. I think Richardson gives our offense a little bit more of a dynamic because of his threat athletically and be able to run the ball. But just because he's not back there, you still got to run the ball. You got two good backs behind you in Moss and Taylor.
Yep.
You got to use them. And we didn't. Colts did not use them yesterday. So now you're going against a tough Browns defense. Colts are going to have to really show up this week.
I agree.
Because it could be embarrassing if we go out there like we did against the Jags yesterday.
We struggle against Jacksonville for some reason. I don't know why. I think we'll be ready for Cleveland. I'm not going to predict a win right at this point. I think we'll play a lot better and we'll be in that game. Hopefully get a win.
I hope so.
What'd you think about the baseball game last night, Houston, Texas?
Rangers, man. Rangers pitching was outstanding. And then they got that big play when who was it? Bregman smoked one out in the left field. Looked like it was going to be a home run.
I thought it was a homer.
Looked like it was going to be a homer. And the guy catches it. And the way that diamond is, it's kind of weird because it was almost in the corner there, but it was actually in left center field.
Yep.
The way the wall goes back. And then Altuve touches second because he was on first. He's I mean, hell, he's waiting to see it. He's thinking it's not you're going to be a home runner off the wall. So he's thinking I'm going to score, but he passed the bag. Well, then it got caught and he took off back to first, but he didn't touch second. And if you touch the base and pass it, you got to touch on the way back. Didn't. So ended up going from what looked like was going to be a 2-run home run to tie the game to a double play, and boom, the Rangers rallied in, and that was a big play in that game because that really would have shifted the momentum. And then another spot in that game was when Alvarez was up, I think in the second or third. I think it might have been third inning, if I remember correctly.
I think so.
There was 2 runners on first and second. Alvarez comes up, and Rangers are up 2-0, and they end up getting striking Alvarez out. I was sitting there saying, I wouldn't pitch to him. I wouldn't have pitched to Alvarez. I would have walked out. I would have walked the bases loaded, even though you have the 2 outs. I'd have walked the bases loaded and took my chances on the next guy just because how good Yordan Alvarez has been. But they pitched to him, and Montgomery threw a hell of a slider to strike him out after getting ahead of him with a couple fastballs. But I like this Rangers team, and I was just saying yesterday, I was talking to Stevie, who used to do the show with us, and I said, just think what this Rangers team could look like right now in the playoffs if all their pitchers was healthy. Talking about Scherzer, and they lost.
I know you're talking about. I can't think of his name.
Yeah, they lost another guy. Well, now they're saying that Scherzer's going to start here.
Game 3. That'd be not tomorrow, the next day.
Yeah, probably Wednesday. Yep. I would say. So, I mean, that's going to help the Rangers, and we'll get to our picks. We'll talk a little more about this here in a little bit when we get to our picks. But I like the Rangers. They were able to shut that Astros offense down yesterday.
They did.
And if their pitching can pitch like that, they're going to be tough to beat.
Yeah. Another story in baseball that I seen today, I was going to ask you about. So, what you thought? The San Francisco Giants looking for a new manager, and they interviewed Alyssa Naken, who's one of their assistant coaches for the manager role. What do you think about that?
Interview who?
Alyssa Naken. She's an assistant coach on the team. Now they interviewed her for the manager position. I'm not saying she's going to get the position.
I don't know much about her, but
I don't either.
I will say this: I think they made a mistake firing their manager. I mean, have you won a World Series over the last 3 or 4 years? No, but you've won a lot of games, and the grass is not always greener on the other side. You get rid of this manager, and whoever you hire come in, and it could go completely the other way. I just don't understand all these, and it don't just happen in baseball. It happens in all professional sports. So firing guys that are consistent and having success, just because you're not getting to that, haven't got to that level you want to yet. To me, if you're the Giants, you add some pieces, try to get a little bit better, but you don't change a manager that's been winning 90 to 100 games over the last 4 or 5 years. We saw it happen in NBA. They fired Bucks fired that Budenholzer, they won a championship just a couple of years ago.
Yep.
And then you get put out in the playoffs, and now we're going to fire you. And it's like, and we've seen teams do that and then go the other way.
Well, there's some Dodger fans.
And like I said, nothing against her, because I'm not saying she wouldn't do a good job. I don't know enough about her to say whether I think she will or not. I'd have to do some research, but just personally, I felt that way when it first happened. I didn't understand why they fired Kepler.
Yeah, I'm not saying I agree with the move either. I just thought it's interesting because never had a female manager in Major League Baseball, so I think that was cool. At least she got an interview.
No, I mean that's cool. She got an interview, and if they think that she's the best for the job, by all means, give her the job. But I just don't. I just think that owners are. And I think a lot of it's due to social media. Yeah. They hear all the outside noise that maybe you didn't hear before in different generations. But it's like owners now are a little quicker to fire guys they're having success just because they haven't had the ultimate success of getting that championship.
Well, it's like we know a guy, and it's other Dodger fans too, but young for their manager. And I mean, here they are winning 100 games a year. Don't get me wrong, the manager's important, no doubt about it. I mean, it's been proven they're important. But the players got to perform on the field. If you get into the playoffs and your two best players who people are talking about, they're MVPs, and they get one hit between the two of them in the series, how's that the manager's fault?
Yeah.
I don't think.
If you ask me,
I don't think
if you're
be fired.
a fan of like the Dodgers or fans like that, and you're yelling for Roberts to be fired, to me, you guys are just spoiled. You're just spoiled ass fans. Go root for a team. Go root for a team that was losing 90 to 100 games a year for the last fucking 10, 15 years on a kind of a consistent basis.
Yeah,
it is. See if you should fire a manager. And that's even, and you know me, I'm not a big David Bell fan. I haven't been. But everybody's saying David Bell needs fired. I wouldn't fire David Bell right now. After what the Reds done this year with David Bell, he deserves another season. All the injuries the Reds had. I mean, with everything that happened with the Reds, I think he done a good job for them to be where they were at. The pitching staff was basically hurt all year. You lost a lot of players. Now, would I gave David Bell the extension that the Reds gave him? No. I would at the end of the season, I would say, I'll give you another year, maybe two, see what you can do. Maybe if we stay healthier, but I wouldn't have signed him no 3-4 year extension like they did, but I also wouldn't have fired him because who's to say whoever we bring in is going to have chemistry with the team and is going to be able to do what they've done this year.
See, I don't completely agree with you because I'm not a Bell fan. I think just a lot of things aligned. I'm not saying he did a bad job this year, but I think a lot of things just came together in a line. Nobody expected a lot of those things to happen. And if a manager came out, just like the Texas Rangers got Bochy this year, if there was a manager like that available right now, I think the Reds should have went after that person. I mean, a Bochy or somebody like that. If the Dodgers fired.
No, yeah,
if
there was somebody like that, but I don't think there's a name out there right now that like that. And I understand what you're saying. Yeah, a lot of things in line with, and they went on that big winning streak and stuff. But if you look after the All-Star break, how many injuries the Reds had with the injuries, COVID, to pitching staff. I mean, there was one time we didn't have hardly any of our starting pitchers.
No, we got down to one, and
then we lost
people off the street.
We lost McLean, who was, you can make an argument, was our most valuable player on the team this year. Fraley was out hurt. Votto was, I mean,
second baseman.
I mean, the Reds
hurt quite a bit.
The Reds had probably, I know close to the most guys on the IL about all year. So for what they done, it was a heck of a season. But also, I'm not a big Bell. I've never been a big Bell fan. But
I haven't been either. That's why I'm saying if the opportunity, I wouldn't have given him that extension. I would have waited to see if opportunity.
Yeah, I wouldn't have given him an extension yet. I agree with that. I would not have given him an extension yet.
Real quick, till we get to our picks, just wanted to give a shout out to my Vegas Golden Knights who started the season so far 3-0. They've got the whole team back other than one player. I'm not going to get out here and brag and say they're going to win it all. Stanley Cup's tough to win. But Vegas is definitely looking good so far. And it's, like I said, 3 games. So, but I think they're going to have a good season at least.
Yeah, they are looking good so far. All right. Well, we'll start in baseball for today's games. Got 2 games today. You got the game 2 of the American League Series, Rangers and Astros. Rangers are up 1-0 in the series after a big 2-0 win last night. Tonight for the let's see, the Astros are 1.5 run favorites at home tonight. They're minus 124 on the money line. The Rangers are plus 106 on the money line. Over unders at 8.5 runs. On the mound for the Rangers is going to be Eovaldi, who is in the postseason. He's 2-0 with a 1.32 ERA. Regular season he was 12-5 with a 3.63 ERA. So he's had a good season, and it's carried over into the postseason so far. The Rangers do lead the series 1-0. Over the last 10 games, the Rangers are 7-3 and they've been hitting the ball at a 2.22 clip with a 2.48 ERA, and they've outscored their opponents by 17 runs over the last 10 games. The Astros are the Astros will have Valdez on the mound tonight. In the playoffs, he's 0-1 with a 10.38 ERA. He had that game in the last series where they got smoked. Over the regular season, he was 12-11 with a 3.45 ERA. So he had a good regular season, didn't have a great first game of the postseason. The Astros lead the season series versus the Rangers 9-5. Astros last 10 games, they're 7-3 as well. They've hit the ball at a 256 clip and with a 2.43 ERA. So their pitching staffs over the last 10 games have been pretty close. Astros had been hitting the ball better over the last 10 games going into last night's game. But the Astros have even hitting the ball better, The Astros have only outscored opponents by 15 over their last 10. I like the Rangers here tonight. Evaldi's been pitching well all season. Has 2 postseason starts, has pitched well on both those. I like the way the Rangers have got some momentum last night in game 1. I look for the Rangers to carry that momentum today. So I'm going to go with the Rangers on the money line in game 2 of the American League Championship Series.
I'm going to go with Houston. I think he got a little bit more experience in the playoffs. It's at home. I think it's a kind of a must-win for him. I think like you said, the pitching matchup may definitely favor Texas right now, but I think I'm gonna go with Houston money line.
Damien says somebody need to check on Jay, see if he's okay. Laughing out loud. Yeah, somebody might want to do that.
Yeah, after that,
Damien's calling a sweep.
It's gonna be tough to sweep Houston, I think.
And then National League, you got National League Championship Series game 1 kicking off tonight. Diamondbacks at the Phillies. I think this is going to be a real good series. I do. Phillies are 1.5 run favorites at home. They're minus 168 on the money line. The Diamondbacks are plus 142 on the money line. Over-unders at 7 runs. On the mound for the Diamondbacks is going to be Gallen. In the playoffs, he is 2-0 with a 3.18 ERA. Regular season, he was 17-9 with a 3.47 ERA. So he's been pretty much good all year. Over the last 10 games, the Diamondbacks are 6-4, hitting .209 with a 2.33 ERA. They're going to have to start hitting the ball better if they're going to have a chance in this series against the Phillies. And they've outscored their opponents by 11 runs. The Phillies will have Willer on the mound tonight. In the playoffs, Willer is 1-0 with a 2.08 ERA. Willer was 13-6 with a 3.61 ERA throughout the season. The Phillies lead the season series versus the Diamondbacks 4-3. So, it's been a competitive series this season. Last 10 games, the Phillies are 6-4 as well, hitting .256. So, Phillies have hit .256 over their last 10 compared to the Diamondbacks .209. But the Phillies team ERA over them last 10 games has been 2.79, where the Diamondbacks has been 2.33. So Diamondbacks pitching has been a little better than the Phillies over the last 10. But the Phillies have outscored opponents by 20 runs over the last 10 games. Phillies have been hot. I think they're going to stay hot tonight in game 1. I like the Phillies at home on the money line at the minus 168.
Yeah, I like Philadelphia money line too. I'll be honest with you. I'm rooting for Arizona to win this series. I'm rooting for Texas to win their series. I want to see 2 different teams in it. But Philly's going to be tough to beat, I think, in this playoff matchup for Arizona. But yeah, I'm going with Philly also money line tonight.
So I think it's going to be Phillies and the Rangers is who I think it's going to be. It wouldn't bother me if it's Arizona. If Arizona beats the Philly, because honestly, Arizona reminds me quite a bit of the Reds. The way they play. They're a young team. They play hard. Never. They just keep battling. They never get down on themselves and just give up. So I like that. But the Phillies, I like some of their players. I'm not a Phillies fan per se because I'm a Cincinnati Reds fan, but I like some of their players and the way they play. I like the way I mean, if you look, because like last year, I kind of became a little bit of a fan there last year, is where you fire your manager and then all of a sudden you catch fire, you get to the World Series, come up a little bit short, and a lot of people thought they would just fall off this year, and it kind of looked like that at the beginning of the season with some injuries and some stuff, and then they've really got hot. And Bryce Harper, I like Harper and I like Castellanos, so I'd like to see them guys win, but it wouldn't bother me if Diamondbacks win. I like to see the Rangers win on the American League just because it's been so long since the Rangers have been in the World Series. Houston, we've seen in the World Series a bunch.
Yep.
I know Phillies was in the World Series last year, but it's not like we've seen the Phillies there all the time. But in a way, it could be kind of cool to see the Phillies and Astros in a rematch of last year as well. See if the Phillies could conquer them this time. But I'm going with the Rangers and the Phillies in the World Series.
I kind of agree with you. I think it could be Texas and Philadelphia. It depends. If Houston wins today, you can't count them out. So I think I think if Houston loses today, they're in trouble. I think it's a must win. I really do. Being at home, if you go down 0-2 and then you got to go to Texas, I think that'd be bad news for them.
Oh yeah. I think this is I think it's about a must-win game for Houston as well. I agree.
I think both series of these will go at least 6 games. That's what I think.
Damien has a question real quick before we get into tonight's Monday Night Football game. He said, what's more shocking, Browns beating the 49ers without Watson or the Jets beating the Eagles? I would say, to me, I would go with the Browns beating the 49ers without Watson because I didn't think the Browns was going, even with their defense, I didn't think they were going to have a chance to beat the Browns or beat the 49ers without Watson because I didn't think they'd be able to put up enough points. Where the Eagles haven't been the same team to me last year. We've seen them struggle a little bit offensively this year. We haven't really seen the 49ers struggle like that yet this year until this.
Yep.
We've seen Philadelphia have a little bit of struggles, even though they were winning games. New England had a close game. They had some close games. So I would say the Browns winning without their starting quarterback, even though the Jets don't have their starting quarterback. They haven't had their starting quarterback since the beginning of the year, where the Browns did have him, and then he's been out the last couple of weeks. So I would go with the Browns.
I think the Browns too, but I think it's pretty close. But I agree with you. I think it's the Browns.
And one reason I went with the Browns too is Zach Wilson had been showing over the last couple of weeks playing a little bit better. In that position,
especially after what San Francisco did to Dallas. Then this and that could be part of it. I mean, teams can have hangovers. I'm not making no excuses, but sometimes you get so high.
I didn't add them to my record because we didn't do a show. We didn't do a show Friday, so I didn't give out.
We hadn't done shows for a while.
Because we had some stuff going on. But I wrote down picks on Friday, and I would have been 4-1 in the NFL yesterday on my picks. The only one I had wrong was the Colts +4.
Okay.
I had the Ravens at the -4, Rams -7, Bengals -3, and the Lions at the -3. And in college football, I went 2-2 with one push because I had Oregon +3, and they ended up losing by 3, so that would have been a push. And I had the other game I lost in college. I had Duke at -3. I won. Ohio State would have hit. Alabama would have lost because Alabama was like a 19-point favorite and barely beat Arkansas. And then Louisville beat Pittsburgh, or Pittsburgh beat Louisville. Excuse me. I had Louisville winning that game. So I would have, for the weekend, I would have went 6-3 on the weekend. But I'd have been 4-1 on the NFL picks over the weekend.
Real quick, I want to give a shout out in college football to Duke, man. They should be undefeated. They blew that game against Notre Dame a couple of weeks ago, and they won again this weekend. They're a pretty good program, and pretty good team.
And they won this, and they won the last couple weekends without their starting quarterback.
I know. Yeah, they're impressive. Yeah, I like that team.
That Coach Elko has done a great job there. I'll tell you, they're a team that's, I think, better than what people give them credit for. North Carolina.
Yep. Yeah, they are.
Watched some of that game Saturday night, and they're not a bad team either.
Before we go to Monday Night
I know everybody wants to talk about how great the Pac-12 is and the teams on the West. They're the best team in the conference, best conference in college football. You might be able to say they have the best offenses in college football,
Yeah.
but I don't see them teams going and beating teams like Georgia, Michigan, and some of these other teams because of their defense. You can't depend on having to score 30 plus points every week, and I mean that's USC. That's one of USC's problems is if they can't score 30 something points a game, they're in trouble. And then their quarterback looked rattled.
Yeah.
He got rattled quick in that game. He got hit a few times, and a couple plays didn't go their way, and he looked rattled the rest of the game.
Yeah, Notre Dame.
They were over there fighting on the sideline or arguing on the sidelines and stuff. I mean, Notre Dame had USC completely out of their
from almost like the first or second series. They didn't look good at all.
Which and you know this because you asked me right before the game. I had Notre Dame winning that game.
Yep. You did
because of how they looked against Louisville. I figured they were going to have a big bounce back game, and I thought their defense would be able to slow USC's offense down.
But I think you were surprised.
But I didn't think it was going to be like that. No, I didn't think it was going to be like that.
Oh, I thought Williams was going to play pretty good. I didn't think he was going to play like that. They never were really in the game, honestly. Before we go to the NFL pick, is it okay for me to do NHL?
Yeah, Damien says Caleb Williams is going to be a bust in the NFL.
Well, I don't think he'll be a bust, but I worry about his mentality. He got rattled quick.
He looked rattled that whole pretty early in that game and never recovered.
No, he didn't. My NHL picks for tonight, I've got Detroit at Columbus. I'm going to take Columbus money line. I got the Blackhawks at the Maple Leafs. I'll take the Maple Leafs money line. And then I've got the Flames at the Capitals. I'll take the Capitals money line. So them are my NHL picks for tonight.
All right, and Monday Night Football. I didn't do no NHL picks. I don't watch enough NHL to really feel comfortable about giving out picks on there. But NFL tonight, Monday Night Football, you have the Dallas Cowboys at the Los Angeles Chargers. Cowboys are 1.5 point favorites. I was about ready to say run. Point favorites on the road, minus 126 on the money line. The Chargers are plus 108 home dogs. Over-unders at 50.5. I'm going with the Chargers here on the money line. I know Dallas has a good defense, but they have with the injuries they have, they're missing missing 2 or 3 of their starting cornerbacks in that secondary. And I think that's something that the Chargers and Justin Herbert can take advantage of. I know the Chargers don't have Mike Williams, but they still have some pretty good receivers.
Eckler's coming back.
Yeah, and they're getting Eckler back. Keenan Allen. I mean, they still have some weapons. The main thing that worries me in this game is the Chargers coach because you never know what the hell that dude's going to do.
Yeah.
But I think the Chargers have been playing pretty well. I know their record is only 2-2, but they could be almost undefeated. They really could. But the Cowboys, I trust Herbert more. I do Prescott as well. So I'm going with the Chargers on the money line. With some of the Cowboys injuries, the Cowboys offense hasn't looked great the last couple of games. They and Dak still turning the ball over in big moments. I like the Chargers here. As long as I just hope Staley stays out of the way.
Yep. Yeah. He worries me a lot too.
Who'd you have in that game? Did you give a pick?
I'm going with Chargers. I like the Chargers money line. I think the Chargers are going to win that game. Dallas is not great on the road. Of course, this is an important game for Dallas after having such a bad performance. I think they need to come back strong. And Chargers don't have a great defense, so it could be a shootout. Should be a good game.
Oh yeah, I'm expecting it to be a good game tonight. But yeah, I like the Chargers. Damien says Dak go with those 6 picks tonight.
If Dak throws 6 picks and Houston gets beat, we may never see Jay again.
that could be true.
I don't even mean to be mean, but how do you have the first pick in your fantasy football league, and your team be so damn terrible? He's lucky to score 70 points a week. How? Yeah. What the hell?
Well, I know
it's a guy got hurt.
Yeah, but still, that's only one guy that got hurt. I mean, my first pick in that league, I got kind of screwed on because I ended up getting Jonathan Taylor, and that's not who I wanted. No. I don't know. For some reason, I auto-drafted for me.
No, you ain't Taylor there. You got a receiver. Wasn't Taylor first pick, was it? I thought you got Chase.
Was it Chase?
Yeah.
It might have been
You was going to
Chase.
take
Yeah.
McCaffrey, and then McCaffrey dropped
Yeah.
down to.
Yeah, and I ended up getting Chase.
I got McCaffrey.
Yeah. It auto drafted Chase for me or
How
something.
many teams
but
you in our
anyway,
league? 16? I got him.
14.
Okay, I got him 12th pick.
But then and then I ended up getting Taylor, and then he out for on the IR, and I think I'm 3-3. Yeah, I'm 3-3. I'll end up beating Pride, end up coming back not come back, holding on and beating Pride last night.
Did you? If I hold on, which I should, but you never know. I'm up 30-some points or something like that, 25, 30 points on Big Glenn. But he does have somebody playing tonight. If I hold on and win that game, I'll be 4-2.
Yeah, Glenn already conceded to you.
You never know, man. You never know.
Glenn conceded to you. Yeah, I'm now in my other fantasy league. I'm 6-0. One league that, and then in our league,
I think I'm 4-2.
in our league, I think I'm gonna be like 3-3.
Yeah, I lost.
I end up losing by couple points. But Purdy, I had Purdy as my quarterback. He didn't do much for me like yesterday. But but his guy I was playing, his quarterback didn't do a whole lot either. But it just, because my team really didn't do too bad other than that. But scored 100 and something points. But
Big Glenn, and I did too. I was expecting like Glenn did. He was expecting Buffalo. He had Buffalo's quarterback. He thought he was going to go nuts on the Giants. And
yeah,
he didn't. I thought he was going to too. I thought I was in trouble.
Oh yeah, I did too. Well, got anything else before we get out of here?
No, not really. Just we got a big show coming up here in a little bit. 6:30. We got the GWR, and it's going to be a good show. We're going to have, I believe, Austin, my grandson, your son, going to be with us, Austin Gonzalez, and of course Marcus Fine will be with us also as usual. So should be a real good show.
Yeah, and you got baseball game starts here. I think I got about a half hour. I think
Pretty soon.
I think the first game was like at 4:30, if I remember right.
Yeah, 4:30 or 4:37, some bull crap like that. So.
You have the Rangers and the Astros here in just about a half hour.
And we got the Phillies later, and the Cowboys game, and Monday Night Raw for me.
But we appreciate everybody joining us. Please hit that subscribe button on YouTube at Gonzo Sports Room. Like and follow on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, all at Gonzo Sports Room as well. We'll be back tomorrow with another episode of Easy Money, a sports betting show. Again, just to go over them real quick, my picks for tonight: Rangers on the money line, Phillies money line, and I also like the the Chargers on the money line and Monday Night Football. It's going to be my 3 picks for today. Hope everybody has a great Monday, and we will see you guys tomorrow.